part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Oh my goodness. 3 episodes in 3 weeks.
Sky's falling, Chicken Little.
Give the people what they want. This is the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
I am Jason Otero.
And I'm Gary Lemaster.
And as always, we are brought to you by P3, the Press Play Podcast Network.
Yeah.
I'm a cup of half a coffee in. It's a big cup.
Your half a cup of coffee in. Those are your literal words you just said.
Don't start that with me. You ate possum.
Several times in my life.
Exactly.
And?
Let's not all be high and mighty. Now's not the time, and you're not the person.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not sure what that has to do with grammatical structure and
How many pounds of pickled gas station meat have you eaten in your lifetime?
Hundreds.
Hundreds of pounds?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Don't you try to act classy over there, buddy. Is my point.
I mean, you know.
Get down off your high horse.
Some of us like pickled products.
That's fine, buddy. We're jumping right back in. I want to thank everyone for agreeing with me over the card trimming issue last week. Gary found no supporters on socials, and my mommy and daddy supported me, and my mother also appreciated that I did not use as much profanity as you, which is kind of a rare occasion on this show.
Your mom also knows me, so it's not like she was shocked.
No, she doesn't expect you to be a reasonable human being, but she wasn't shocked. She wasn't mad. She was disappointed in you.
That's okay.
That's what a good mother does. Anyway,
Kelly,
we want to
I'm
jump
sorry.
right in. Yeah, you should apologize.
Can we jump into your soccer experience last night?
Well, ladies and gentlemen at home, wherever you're listening to this, by the way, thanks again for listening. I kind of understand what it's like to be AD and always injured.
Well, can I set the table here? Because I think it's important.
Is there going to be possum at this table?
No. So Jason's daughter plays soccer. She's not a big fan of the running around part of soccer. She really enjoys playing goalie.
Well, the social experience is a lot of fun for her.
Well, yeah, no, she's a big talker. So
Plus, she likes pink cleats and shin guards.
yeah,
I think that's half of it.
They have father-daughter soccer night last night. So that's the table.
Parents. Let's not say this because there were some moms there that were drilling kids in the face with the ball. No mercy. We had I didn't tell you, they were dropping like flies, and it's all like 9 and 10-year-old girls. Every time they took a soccer ball to the face. Why, Mom? Why? Mom did not care. She wanted a goal.
Every mom was like, this is my chance to show this kid exactly what I think of them 80% of the time.
Oh my gosh. They were drilling it. Well, anyway, I was like, I'll go watch. And I had a plan in place. The plan was if I wear Crocs, one, what a commitment socially to go in public.
Yeah, nobody's going to talk to you at all.
Exactly. That's what I was going for. Secondly, if I get asked to jump in and play, I'm sorry. I got Crocs on.
Crocs. Can't do it.
So I tell Sydney no twice. I'm watching. Parents keep asking me to jump in. It is far too competitive for anything I'd be interested in. If it was softball, baseball, yeah, I'll jump in with that. But this is not for me. Finally, the coach keeps coming up. We're down one. We really need you. You can go on the kids team. I was like, okay, great. Within 5 minutes, I took a ball off of my stomach. So visually in my mind, it's like, I've watched 2 hours of soccer. I watched the World Cup, not this time, but the time before.
I'm picturing you running around trying to kick a soccer ball right now. It's making me smile.
Well, hear me out.
Okay.
So a ball goes like flying near me, but it's like chest high.
Okay.
And I think there's no way I'm getting there. Something inside me said, bro, you're still an athlete. I threw my foot up there and I knocked the ball down and trapped it. It was complete luck and coincidence. But for a split second, everyone there thought, oh, we got a soccer player.
You felt like Ronaldo.
We got a soccer player. And that was their first mistake because they did not have a soccer player. In fact, they had somebody who just pulled their groin trying to stop a ball. But now the expectations are high from all these 9 and 10-year-old girls. So then I start feeling myself a little bit. A few minutes later, I go back to defender because running is dumb. Meanwhile, still in Crocs. And one of the parents who was likely a D1 shot putter, she's...
I'm picturing her right now.
Healthy.
Has to shave a couple times a day.
I'm leaving it at that.
Okay.
She lines one right at me, and in my mind, this is simple. I'm going to just knock this down with my chest, kick it out, nice outlet. Well, I forgot how much fat is hanging off of my gut. And when I tell you the ball hit, you know when somebody claps their hand just perfectly and it makes like a cupping percussion noise? It was almost like suction, kind of one of those right off my gut. Everyone heard it. The soccer fields all around. Then I go to kick the ball.
Like a flabby gunshot.
Yeah. I go to kick the ball, kick underneath the ball with Crocs, a lot of rubber on that, backspin. The ball goes straight up in the air, almost lands behind me.
Impressive work.
Get up in the night to go to the bathroom, cannot walk. Now injuries happen, and I don't know what caused them.
Your existence.
I know it was related to soccer, but I don't know the moment that I hurt myself.
You being alive and playing soccer at this point in life is what caused that injury.
So, all that to say, we didn't win, but I was a parent, so I kind of won.
Okay.
But anyway, so
that's
I'm limping
good
along
stuff
today.
right there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that
times.
immensely.
Yeah, it was very painful. Trimming update. So we just got done talking about it, and apparently the whole hobby was like, well, daggone it, if the ball cart show's talking about it, we got another story. That's not what happened. But this Shohei was the Independence Day to 76 rookie.
Yeah, I think it was number 12 of 76, if I'm correct.
So with BGS submission, it came out at 9.
Yep, with 8.5 corners.
8.5
The top right corner was toast.
That exact same card gets cracked and resub. So the BGS sold for, was it 1,200, something like that?
2,300.
2,400. The card clearly gets trimmed, same serial number. You can see the difference in spacing in the photos, just like the stock
and
images.
the corner's gone.
The corner is gone. That one sold for over 10 grand, right?
11.5.
Yeah, 11.5. So
as a PSA 10.
Obviously somebody called this out. Now, if I was looking at that card, straight up, wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known.
If it hadn't been previously graded by BGS, nobody would have known.
Nobody would have noticed. But it's a great example to see how that happens. So PSA responds and they say, yep, that's it. We will decertify this card. Well, now you got somebody holding the bag.
Which
because now they have a less than $2,000 card probably.
Yeah, if it was, it's probably now that it's trimmed, it's probably more like a $800 to $900 card, just an authentic numbered, super short numbered Ohtani rookie.
Yeah, and it makes me feel kind of good.
It makes you feel good.
Well, the guy that submitted it, cracked it and submitted it, if he cut it, makes me happy.
I'm very confused.
Well, if he cut it and then submitted it to PSA,
okay,
you should be penalized.
But he's not the guy who owns that card now. Is not the guy who subbed it to PSA.
Do we know this?
Yeah, the guy who owns it now was the one who paid $11.5 for it on eBay.
Where's that seller? String him up.
And again, it goes back to how do you prove that he's the one that trimmed it?
Burn him at the
maybe
stake.
he bought it raw. Like that goes back
tar
to
and feather.
My entire point with trimming is
execution at noon.
If the
rock the plank,
if the grading companies that we are giving money to,
I have a lot
based upon their knowledge and expertise and ability to spot these things, can't or won't spot them, who's really at fault? If you own a store and you don't lock the doors at night and you leave the lights on and you do this every night, it's really hard to complain that people are stealing from you. Doesn't make the stealing right.
Yeah,
but it's really hard to complain.
I disagree with you once again. This is
people are stealing from you.
It's like somebody that does a hack job fixing up a car, sells it twice. They clearly did something to the car. It wasn't found out till later. The dealership is liable to take care of that person, but the source of the issue is that dishonest person.
I don't think we're comparing apples to apples here.
I think we are.
Okay.
Anyway.
I disagree.
Yeah, we can do that. We can disagree. Yeah. Happens all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
But real-time example of the risk that can happen with that. Now, I mean, again, kind of stupid to do that with a load. If you're going to trim a card and sub it, probably don't do that with one that has been like in a database with recent comps and a serial number.
I agree, but it just goes to show how little legwork and research PSA is doing.
I think
on
that
these
changes.
cards.
I think it gets tightened up a little bit.
Let's hope.
Oh, speaking of the great job PSA is doing, let's talk about that Gretzky that's up at Golden right now.
There is a PSA 9 O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky rookie.
A true PSA 9 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky would go for ballpark this.
$500,000.
It's a big card.
Yeah. This card is beat to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looks like somebody took scissors to the top left corner.
The top left corner has bunions.
Yeah, it is.
You gonna move past that? Gary, if you can't enjoy when I just hand you a golden joke like that card has bunions.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
You know what bunions look like?
I do, but how
Pull
many
up that
people
picture.
listening?
No, pull up that picture right now. Everybody has a family member or knows somebody with bunions.
How many
Pull up,
people?
shut up and put the picture up.
Wow.
We're going to take a pause here. You're going to look at that top left corner. You getting there?
I'm working on it.
Wow. Guys, Gary has a flip phone in
I do
2020.
not have
That
it.
is a flip phone. It's technically a flip phone.
I guess.
Does it flip? What's the name of the phone?
It's the Z Flip 3.
Z what?
Z Flip 3.
Okay, thank you. I
Here
did
we
not
go.
know that he had to go to the Carnegie Library to find this photo, or I would not
Well,
have.
I mean, yeah,
He just had it on his phone a little bit ago.
I found it. No, it's not the same one. So this is one that sold a couple years ago.
They don't know what this is.
actual PSA 9. What it should.
What he's
look
holding up is one that looks like a 9.
like. Yeah. So the card in question though, you can go to Golden site right now. It's in extended bidding right now. It's at like $95,000. This card looks like if you sent that card to SGC, it might get a 4. Yeah. Might. Probably more like a 3 or a 3.5. That card is beat. Mm-hmm. It is bad. It's OC. All 4 edges are worn and show flaking. None of the corners are sharp. The top left corner is real rough. And it's in a new PSA holder. It's not in an old PSA holder. It's the hologrammed PSA holder. Like, it's bad. Which tells me that chances are this card was subbed by one of Nat Turner's friends. And they just threw whatever grade he wanted on it.
Yeah. It's sad because in some ways, people investing in this are just chasing that PSA number, not the card. This
Yeah.
is an argument for people that trim for themselves, if they're keeping it. But yeah, you're trying to get PSA to give you a number that's going to make you a lot of money.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the hobby in general looks to grading companies to do 2 things, 3 things really: to authenticate their card, to assign it a grade that shows some level of consistency across years, products, everything else, and to increase value. And PSA kind of cares about authentication, gives no shits whatsoever about the number other than how it makes them money. And then they pump that stuff out of the hobby so that they can continue this kind of circular deal where because it's in their slab, it makes more money. Therefore, people will send them more cards that are in their slab because it makes more money.
Easy money.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Anyway, enough of the card trimming. I'm right. Gary's wrong. Let's talk about a really cool pickup you had this week. You actually had several good ones, but one in particular, I'm holding it right now. That's a lie. He's handing it to me to hold it.
Handing it to you to hold it. You're correct.
So here's what I'll say about these cards. So I'm holding a Upper Deck Sweet Spot Classic Signature. They get really cool baseball swatches, typically is what I see. Really cool signatures. These were all early 2000s.
Yeah, I think this one's an 07.
This one's 07.
Yeah, should be
later.
on the flip.
And yeah, then
Yeah.
making that. Panini does their version of that
An
with
absolute now, yeah.
But I'm holding a Yogi Berra glove signature with gold ink.
Yeah.
Number to 15. Really cool card. It's in a BGS slab. The slab's a little beat up. This thing was just in my opinion, to be protected based off of what I'm seeing here. It's an 8.5, but it's Yogi Berra to 15. There's no fading on this ink at all. Where'd you pick this up?
I picked it up at the Xenia show last Saturday. A show that I normally set up at, that you've set up at a few times, and I did not this month, and I'm going forward, will not any further, but I will continue to go to the show.
Well, if you're going to tease them, tell them.
Yeah, so if you're listening to the podcast and you are a dealer, or if you're listening to the podcast and you are a show promoter, don't build your show past the point of sustainability. A show can only be as big as the buying segment of the public allows it to be. Otherwise, you as a promoter are a greedy jerk. This show in question here in Xenia, Ohio, is one of the biggest in the state. It's now up to 300 tables,
Which is cool.
3 buildings.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a 5-hour show.
So let's do some math here. I went
That's
to
less
Bible
than
college.
1 minute per table.
Dang it! You always the math.
I do math in my head really well.
Go ahead. You
Yeah,
can
it's just,
continue.
it's including walk time, less than 1 minute per table.
I have exactly 1 minute per table.
Well, yeah. So you're at the end.
The
of
math
the
was
day,
off a little bit, but you were close.
Yeah, there's no way that show can be feasible if you are a dealer, especially because it's an established show. So most people who come to the show go to building 1 first. I went to the show last week. I got there an hour before the show opened, and I left an hour before the show closed, and I didn't get through 1 building.
They just need a couple days.
It needs to be a
Longer hours.
2 or 3 day show if it's going to be that big.
Yeah.
If you are a promoter and you insist on running that type of a show to line your own pockets, at least be ethical about it. And the people in building 2, charge them a little bit less. And in building 3, charge them a little bit less. The poor people in building 3, if they got their table fee back, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I don't
shocked.
think it's as much about ethics as just like, hey, slow down and think about what's actually possible here. I like that there's a show with 300 tables in the state, but yeah, I had a tough time feeling like it was worth my time at that one. The smaller shows have honestly been better for me.
30 to 50 table shows are
Yeah.
my sweet spot.
Yeah, people spend some time there. You get to hang out, build a little bit of relationship, talk cards, all that kind of stuff. But that Yogi Berra pickup is pretty sick. What you had another one on there that I went nuts for. It would have been a
Was it
vet.
the Jerry Lucas auto to 10?
That was sweet. It was a different one though. What were the other autos you had? It was an auto.
I don't remember which one. I
pull
picked
it
up. I probably picked up. I don't know, $1,200 or $1,300 worth of inventory when I was there. But I always look for deals like this Yogi. I'm not going to tell people what I paid for it, but let's just say I paid drastically below market and I didn't have to negotiate. I just asked what the guy wanted and he gave me a number and I couldn't say yes fast enough.
The Barry Larkin.
Oh yeah, I did pick up a Barry Larkin to 25 from the same dealer, also for an absolute
5-star Golden Graphs on card with the gold ink. That's a pretty card.
to 25.
Yeah.
Comps on it are around $100. I didn't pay anywhere near that for it. Again, I didn't negotiate or beat the guy up. I did have
the Aaron Donald Topps Chromes. That you
I got
picked
2 of them.
Purple and orange
and
refractors.
orange. Yeah. PSA 9s. Yeah, it was a good buying show. And that's what tends to happen with that size of a show that's that short. People who are set up, I don't want to say they get desperate, but they're not getting the traffic that they anticipated. And so they're going to move stuff a little cheaper, especially towards the end of the show. I was able to pick up a nice little bunch of Joe Burrow rookie slabs, which was one of my goals going there. He's been impossible to buy at off-season prices. Like there hasn't been an off-season in his prices, which has just been super weird, but there just hasn't been. I think people are actually realizing that it's him and Pat Mahomes. Like they're the cream of the crop in the NFL.
I think Burrow could be a Montana type of.
Yeah, I think he's this generation's
Hobby
Tom
love,
Brady.
yeah.
I don't know that I don't think he's going to win 7 Super Bowls because I don't know that anybody's ever going to win 7 Super Bowls again. But as far as just the way he plays the game, the way he handles the media, the way he does all that stuff, he's this generation's Tom Brady to me.
My pickups were all in the form of inventory for sales. I did a ton on these mid 90s through early 2000s vet basketball. I mean, the dollar box is juiced with some really cool inserts if you collect any of that stuff. And I got them all 50 cents a piece. I did force myself to do so. If you're new in the hobby and you're starting to get into shows, this took me several hours. But I wanted to educate myself on what these inserts go for. I didn't buy anything that I didn't think would get $1, at least.
Right.
But there's several of like the Topps Finest inserts, some of these other ones I picked up, some of the metal inserts, even some hoops inserts that have some value to them. I made myself go through and price them individually, even by player. It was a lot of work, but it was super helpful for me to go through what was, 300 cards. That I knew it was probably $1 to $5, but I needed to figure out where they were.
Yep.
So when I'm looking in the future, I know what's going on there. I did have about, of those cards, 50 that I'm going to keep at 50 cents. That was kind of a bummer, but we'll get better at that. But I didn't pick up any PC or anything fun like that. NBA is going on. Finals are coming up. We're in Eastern Western Conference Finals. Let's give a little bit of a rundown of the players that are still in, maybe hobby impact, what we think is going to happen, and then I guess maybe out of this list, who we think the best buy right now. If you're forced to buy in the peak, who would you buy once we go through all these, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
So up first, what in the heck is happening? Tatum. Jason Tatum is struggling.
Jason Tatum, his whole career, tends to struggle when the spotlight's on. I don't want to say it's as bad as Kirk Cousins, but it's not a long ways away from Kirk Cousins. It just isn't. I wish that it was, because he's a supremely talented player, and in the regular season, he just lights stuff up. But the playoffs coming out,
Going into the playoffs,
Yeah, and
everybody's like Boston.
Yeah, he will occasionally throw up a crazy game, but man, when the spotlight's the brightest, tends. We talked about this earlier in the year with the NBA. When the spotlight's the brightest, Jaylen Brown's the guy. It ain't Jason Tatum.
Yep.
And Derek White's kind of playing really well right now, but I'm not buying any Jason Tatum stuff at this point.
Well, the Heat seem to be putting it on.
Yeah. Oh, the Heat. I think the Heat win that series.
Yeah. Let's jump to Jimmy Butler then. Contrary to what we're talking about with Tatum, we're seeing somebody that when the pressure is on consistently performs and shows his best work.
Yeah, I was going to say not only performs, but performs at the very peak of what his abilities are.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's getting a little bit older, who has realized that the regular season only matters in so much as it gets you into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But once the playoffs come around, Jimmy Butler puts it at a different level. And if you think about what that Miami Heat team is doing right now with Tyler Herro out with a broken hand, that team is Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and a bunch of nobody.
Yeah.
And they are just rolling.
Yep. I agree. I've had a lot of fun watching him in the playoffs. He's a real deal. Up next, man, a tale of two players so far in this series is LeBron.
So what everybody
I watched last night. So today's what, the 19th?
Yes.
So Thursday the 18th, watching him last night, he really seemed to struggle. Of course, he had like the ball slip out of his hands going up for a dunk. He was trying to get cute with it and do his signature thing. But, that stuff's going to happen. But just overall, it's weird watching somebody perform at that level. At some point, in my opinion, age is going to show in a game or two.
He's almost 40 years old. He's 38 years old in his 20th season.
Now, he's still that physically dominant.
Yes.
And the thing that has blown me away too, and I know he's had this move for some time, but he's really utilizing it, is the way he can go in for a strong layup with his body completely turned away from the backboard. He keeps the ball so far away from the bigs, yet he still finds a way to go up strong as if he's two-handing this going into the goal.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's a physically dominant human, and it's even more impressive when you consider the rigors that basketball takes on your joints, and he's in his 20th season.
Yeah. Now, he spends over $1 million on his body's recovery every year.
Yeah, and that's a smart investment.
Yeah.
A very smart investment on his part. Because spending that $1 million gets him about $40 million a year.
It's a good work.
It's really smart.
Yeah.
I think that LeBron stuff in general is down quite a bit from the peak, and he is I don't think there's anybody who wouldn't say he's top 5 all time unless they're on drugs. And I think that a lot of people would say it's a toss-up him, Jordan, Kobe, for who the top 2 are. There are a lot of people, I tend to fall into this camp, and people just look at me like I'm an idiot, but I think LeBron's probably the best basketball player in the history of the league. Was he the best pure scorer? No, that'd be Michael Jordan. But as far as best overall basketball player, I think you're hard-pressed to say that anybody was better than LeBron.
I've been in 5,000 debates about this,
Yeah.
and I would just say that I don't agree with that, but I do agree with him being a top 5 all-time player.
Yeah.
But that's also the way I felt about Tom Brady when he still had 5 years left.
Right.
And then by the conclusion of his career, there was nothing left. Some of these conversations, it's like somebody's, and not so much now, but somebody's 8 years into the league,
Yeah.
and they're trying to say, well, he's never going to. Well, the good news is time will actually tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
So LeBron grabs 2 more rings before he retires, which I don't think happens, but if it did, man, now we're making some arguments here. Over the long haul, he's 40 years old, still getting rings in the NBA.
Yeah.
You don't hear about players lasting that long anymore.
Right.
To do it in different programs, then people could say, well, the Heat was such a blah, 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 blah. You can't say that about these Lakers. That was a trial by fire the last they've had a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have talent, but it didn't feel like a very cohesive unit to me.
Well, it wasn't. You remember what I said about the Russell Westbrook experiment when they started
terrible.
it? I was like, this is going to end really badly, and it did.
Yeah. But what I'm hearing is maybe for some ultra modern, there might be a little bit of a play on LeBron right now.
LeBron's rookie stuff is just down.
Yeah.
And again, if you're buying LeBron rookie cards and you're buying them to quick flip, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's not how you invest in that guy.
That's just not the answer there. So, but I don't think it's a terrible buy. Like, you can pick up a Topps Chrome PSA 9 for $4 or $5 now, and 3 years ago they were 30.
Right.
We're never going to see 30 again, but I bet it gets to 10 again at some point.
Yep. All right, let's go into the big dog, Jokic, which is
Freak
putting
show.
on a clinic, playing so strong. He's hitting with range. He's got that playoff mentality too. They beat the hell out of his body in there, and he doesn't complain. He just keeps trucking. He's really hard to slow down. He's already kind of slow, but he's hard to.
It's amazing to watch the guy play basketball because
he's not supposed to be that athletic at that size.
Well, he doesn't even look athletic doing the things he does. No. It doesn't look athletic. He might be, and
you know who else was
I
like
want
that?
you to who?
Larry Bird had that same vibe.
Yeah.
How does that work the way it does?
Yeah. And I say this, and I don't want you to have your initial reaction just like be like, oh, you're an idiot.
I'm gonna have it anyway.
You will, but then stop and think. Jokic might be the best passer of the basketball that I've ever seen.
I can't say I've watched enough to confirm or deny. I wish I could.
Yeah, he might be the best passer of the He makes passes. He treats a basketball the way great quarterbacks treat a football. When I coached quarterbacks, it was always, we don't throw to people, we throw to space. Mm-hmm. We throw to grass. If there's somebody in the grass when you let go of the ball, you did it wrong. Mm-hmm. Jokic throws to space. The guys he's passing to don't know it's coming till the ball's on them. They have to have their eyes open at all times. Mm-hmm. He puts balls in places. If you are guarded, you are tightly guarded. He treats it like an NFL quarterback does. If the defender's head is turned and it can't see where the ball is, in Jokic's mind, you're open.
Yeah.
He's throwing you the ball.
Yeah.
Not too many people have the confidence in themselves and their teammates to do that.
And then pull 20 rebounds and 30 points. It's just.
Yeah, and 15 assists. Yeah.
You talk about.
He averaged a 30-point triple-double in the last series.
It's hard for someone that size to have longevity. But, man, if he has a long career.
Well, it's not like he jumps very much. He's not putting a lot of strain on his joints.
He's a tall, big guy.
Yeah, that can shoot.
Yeah.
And makes people look silly, and he does it moving slowly. And you're like, how does that athletic freak show guarding him not stop that?
Yep.
But they can't.
Finally, we got Jamal Murray.
We didn't. Not finally. There should be 2 people left on this list. Did we already talk about Jimmy Buckets?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Jamal Murray.
Thank you for being wrong again, Gary.
Jamal Murray went off last night.
Yeah.
What do you have, 38, 35?
Yeah, he did really well. I have never invested in him.
Well, so people forget that for about 3 months leading up to when he blew his ACL out 2 years ago, the Jamal Murray hype train was really getting going. He was playing at an all-NBA level, and it was like, okay, here's the next guard. This is the next guy. Everybody thought he was going to be what Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell have become, and then he got hurt, right? Now he's fully healthy again and starting to put it together. And when you've got a big like Jokic and a guard like Jamal Murray and supporting cast like Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, guys who can't be a one, but if you have a dominant one and a dominant two, they're one hell of a 3-4 punch.
Yeah.
It's really hard to beat.
A lot of speed, too.
It's really hard to beat that team.
Yeah. So then who would be your pick if you're buying right now and the goal is, I think, the best value of these guys in the playoffs right now?
For a short-term flip or a long-term hold?
You can pick whichever you want.
Well, the answer is different for each one.
Well, you need to come up with one. You get to pick one person. One person that I think this is the best value, and you could say because I think it would be great to do a short term, or you could say because I would like to hold.
If I'm holding for 10 years, it's Jimmy Butler. His rookie stuff is stupid cheap. Stupid cheap for a guy with multiple championships who is a true primetime performer. And people are starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like people are starting to get there with it.
Yeah. I'm torn. I would have said Jimmy Butler, but I don't know if I would say for the long-term hold.
Okay.
I think he is, like you said, still very cheap, but the age has me a little bit wondering how much longer he'll do this, and will it be long enough for people to have that aha moment of, holy crap, look at this guy over the long period of time, what he's done.
See, I think that aha moment is happening now.
If that's the case, then maybe I'm not there yet because I wouldn't long-term hold him. So I know it's expensive right now, but I'm probably still going with Jokic on this. He's got, and I'm probably buying up some of his lower end stuff because the high end stuff's going to be moving at quite a clip. But my gosh, he's got to be super expensive now. I haven't even looked at what his rated rookies and some of those other things are going for, right?
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
But LeBron, I'm probably not doing that. Tatum, you're still paying a premium, and it's not seeming to work out. Jamal, I'm not as excited about individually as much as I am the collective of him with his team. So I think I'm Jokic on that one.
Well, Jokic was my other guy.
Yeah.
And his stuff, here's why I didn't say Jokic and said Butler instead when you may put a gun to my head about it. The hobby in general does not give bigs the love that it should.
Yep.
And that may change at some point.
Well,
but
Wemby is going to have an impact on that, I think.
Except Wemby he's going to play 3. He's not a 5. He's not even a 4.
But he is a big.
He is, but have you watched the dude dribble?
Yeah.
Like he breaks dudes off.
Yeah.
He breaks them off, like makes them fall down.
Like if Kevin Durant had another growth spurt.
Yeah, and had handles like that, which he doesn't. So the hobby doesn't give the love that it should to bigs in general. The fact that I can buy Shaquille O'Neal Topps Gold PSA 10s even now for less than what a Zion Auto PSA 10 goes for is all you need to know about how the hobby treats bigs. But also, Jokic doesn't have any rings. In basketball, more than any other sport,
Yeah, I
is
agree.
championship. Now, if they win it this year,
Yeah, it's established.
I think it's a different ball game.
Yeah. So there's still room to buy on him.
Oh no, there's
Yeah,
definitely still room
before.
to buy on him. And I mean, if Jokic retired next week, is he a top 20 big of all time?
I wouldn't be ready to say it
You
yet.
don't think?
Well, he
back-to-back MVPs, averaged a trip.
I don't think so yet.
I think he's a top 20 big of all time.
Okay.
If he retired tomorrow.
Cool. Cool.
Is Giannis a top 20 big?
I don't know, buddy. I don't want to play this game.
Okay.
Let's go to baseball.
Yay.
I want to see Jokic have a few more years before I would say that. That's where I'm coming from with it. I think
Which is
we're
fine.
just now seeing,
I mean, he's in his 8th season.
which doesn't seem possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the mid-teens were that long ago.
16 was his rookie year.
Yeah. I like this take that we're going to do here in just a second. So it's baseball budget buys or baseball bargain buys, whatever you want to call it. We've got a little bit of this season going on. We've got some data, and we got a few players that are still they're kind of sleepers right now, but statistically they're doing very well. We're going to give you their rookie year, why it might be a play for you, or some players to buy. These are definitely players that you're going to find some Topps Chrome rookies in the dollar box on. You're going to find a lot of opportunities to get autos, still very reasonably priced. But they're definitely people to watch this year. So let's get it started off. The first one that you were excited to break down was Nolan Gorman. So 2023 rookie
Yes.
product.
Yes. He lost rookie eligibility last year, so
Yeah.
he's not in the rookie of the year running.
So what has you so excited about him?
So when he got called up in June last year, a lot of hype because he was just raking AAA, double and AAA pitching. And he got called up, and the power was there, but there was tons of swing and miss. I think he hit 226 over 240 at bats, and then got sent back down. Broke camp with the Cardinals at the beginning of the year this year, and has just hit. He's hitting almost 300. He's 4th in major leagues in home runs. He's got 12 home runs. He's 5th or 6th in RBIs. He's 4th in OPS. And he's playing on a team that is playing really poorly right now. So there's not a lot. I saw multiple PSA 10 Bowman first non-auto PSA 10 Chrome slabs of his on Facebook over the last week for $30 to $40 a piece. That's a steal.
Yeah.
I think the kid is long-term going to settle into that 35 to 40 home run range and be a much better contact hitter than Pete Alonso is. And the hobby loves Pete Alonso, who's batting 230. So he's a guy that you can pick up on the cheap and probably turn a profit. It's a card that, like you said, dig through baseball dollar boxes at shows and grab his stuff. I'd be probably looking more for Bowman first stuff. His rookie stuff is in
shocked to hear you
2023
say
tops. Well, if you're going to look for 2023 flagship rookies, look for color.
Yeah.
Look for color.
Yeah.
The base flagship rookies for a guy like him aren't going to ever be crazy, but the color could be nice.
Yep. Up next, 2019, Adolis Garcia.
So 2 years ago, if you're a longtime podcast listener, we talked about Adolis Garcia for the Rangers. He was a 26-year-old rookie at the time, made the All-Star team, was raking in the first half. And before he got called up, you could buy his Bowman first autos for $6, $5. And he was raking, and they jumped all the way to 150, 160, 175. And then he fell off a cliff in the second half. And leading into that All-Star break, I told everybody, sell this stuff. This dude's never going to replicate this. He may end up being a solid replacement level player, but he's never going to replicate this.
Well,
I was wrong. Last year, had a solid season, not a spectacular one. And this year, he's hitting 260, leading the league in RBIs, 4th in the league in home runs. OPS is really good, playing really good defense. And those Bowman first autos are up a little bit from where they were when I told you to sell them. And his rookie stuff, again, I'd be looking at chrome refractors and color. It's a product that's much less printed than the current last 2-3 years of Topps 2019 was. You can still get for reasonable prices. And I think that in that lineup, I mean, he's probably got a 4 or 5 year run of being a really productive player. I don't think his stuff's going to go through the roof, but I do think you could see a 20 to 40% return on your dollars with the dude. He's figured out how to hit consistently.
Yep. Up next is a guy that there was a lot of slab stuff. There's a lot of auto stuff out there. He got a lot of hobby love in 2020, Randy Arozarena, and then it all seemed to kind of drop off as the market dropped off.
Yeah, which is crazy because he was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, yep.
World Series MVP.
Yep.
ALCS MVP.
Well, kind of what happened was the hobby dropped off. Baseball was one of the first things that kind of got
Yeah.
less love.
Well, and he also has 2 rookie cards in 2 different uniforms from
Yes.
the same year.
Yes.
So his flagship rookie was Cardinals, and then he was traded to the Rays. It's weird how guys get traded from one team as a mid-range prospect, and they go to the Rays, and suddenly they're really good at baseball.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that
There's
works.
some things figured out.
Yeah. Rosarena hitting 320, 330 most of the year so far, hitting jacks, stealing bases, playing really good defense. Has a lot of RBIs. That Tampa lineup between him and Wander.
Yeah.
Jose Siri is playing really well too.
Yeah.
Itzhak Paradas is playing really well. That lineup helps him because there's not really anybody to pitch around.
Yep.
And again, you can pick up his stuff. You can pick up X Fractors for $25-$30.
Yeah, and where I'm buying him is not where I'm saying I'm looking for Gorman in the dollar boxes. I'm looking for him in the bargain slabs. So if you go to a card show or a shop, there's a lot of $10 to $20 slabs in there. There's going to be some short print stuff of his with a 9 or 10.
Yep.
Those are the cards I'd pick up. 2020 was a year where people getting back into the hobby were literally buying everything that was on the shelf because there was a flip to be made, or they were just getting addicted to collecting again.
Yep.
So there's a ton out there. I probably wouldn't just get base, maybe huge lots of them.
You and I
but-
were ripping flagship by the case.
Oh my
that
gosh,
year.
ripping cases. So, yeah, I would look in some slabs. They're already graded. Find some SP stuff. Do chrome refractors, some of that.
Oh yeah, that was a good
Bless
one.
me. Yeah, a Rosarina's definitely got to follow. Up next, you bought a rookie auto from me, this guy, but I think you already sold it. 23 Estuary Ruiz,
Yeah, I did sell it already.
Speed Demon.
Yeah, and the question with this kid was whether or not the bat to ball that he showed last year for the first time ever was real.
Yeah.
And so far this year it is. His batting average has stayed between 270 and 280, which with his speed,
Yeah.
that's all you need.
Just get him on.
He's going to steal 90 to 100 bags this year. He's leading the majors in stolen bases. He's got 20 stolen bases in 35 games. He's hitting leadoff, and he's hitting leadoff in a cavernous park, so the power numbers
Yeah.
aren't what they were last year. But I think he's got 3 or 4 home runs. He'll probably hit 15. I think that was kind of what most
He's going to have a
people
lot
thought,
of runs, not a ton of home
12
runs.
to 15 home runs. But if he hits 270 to 280, steals 80 to 90 bags, walks a decent amount, which he's doing, that's a really high-end leadoff hitter. And
Still cheap.
again, his stuff is still pretty cheap.
Now, statistically, he's going to look phenomenal. Hobby-wise, we all know, just
He's
like
in
we talked
Oakland.
about bigs, in basketball, they're going to tend to pick guys that are hitting 20, 30, 40 jacks.
Yep.
But he's somebody where if you can get short printed rookie stuff and hang on to it for a few years, the scope of his work is going to be something. He's a guy that, if he does it where he is now, or if he gets traded going into, right before the break and it ends up being a postseason run, he's going to be a player. He's going to be a highlight reel. At some point, you'll have an opportunity on the investment side to make some money on him. But I think he's a fun guy to hang on to if he's actually going to hit those kind of numbers.
And guys like that can develop. So one of the things that people forget, Trey Turner's a great example of this. When Trey Turner came up, he was a all bat to ball, all speed, no power dude. And it took him about 5 years in the bigs before he figured out how to hit with some kind of power. And now he's a 25 to 35 home run guy who also steals a lot of bases, plays amazing defense, and provides a ton of value to a team, which is why he signed a massive contract this
And
month.
young guys tend to add power.
Yeah, because
Fast guys don't want to get big because they
Right.
want to keep that speed, but he's going to figure out how to hit a few more home runs over the next couple of years.
yeah, and part of it, like you said, a good players don't stay in Oakland. So
Yep.
know,
Up next, somebody that a lot of people felt let down by in the hobby, Luis Robert.
yeah, J-Rod's getting the Lou Bob treatment now.
Yeah.
The first sign of struggle, people were paying through the nose for Lou Bob, just like they were for
Yep.
J-Rod last year and through the offseason coming into this year. Listen, baseball's hard, guys.
And it takes time.
Yes, and even the all-time greats have bad seasons occasionally.
Yeah.
Like It just is the way that it is. I think that most baseball people would tell you that Juan Soto's still one of the 2 or 3 best hitters in baseball. He had a really down season last year.
He did.
And the first part of this year was really slow. He's finally turning it up now, but it happens.
Now Lou Bob seems to be figuring it out.
Yeah, Lou Bob's hitting 260, 270. He's 4th in the league in home runs.
Hitting
He's got
home
12
runs,
jacks.
yeah.
He's on pace for about 40.
Yeah.
And that White Sox team is bad, but they've got a huge fan base.
Yep.
And Lou Bob, you can buy PSA 10 Topps Chrome rookies for $20.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can ever lose your money if you do that.
I would put him in the same category with a Rosarena with how many slabs are out there. I'm probably not buying raw unless it's super short print.
Yeah.
But grabs a couple 10s, hang on to them. If you can't hear,
Yeah, I don't know what's happening up above the studio right now.
I don't want to be called bougie, so I'm not going to explain it. There's some noise going on in the house.
Oh, goodness.
I think they're dragging metal parts
Yeah, are
across
they
the
cleaning
floor.
your vents right now? Is
I
that what's
guess
going on?
so. This has never happened before.
It's going to be really funny because what's going to happen is we're going to listen back to the episode. You're not going to be able to hear any of it. People are going to go, what are these
I
idiots
hope
talking
so.
about?
Up next, the final name here, Brent Rooker. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm unaware.
I think most people are unaware. Brent Rooker's rookies were in 2021 Topps. He's in a Twins uniform. He now plays for Oakland Athletics. Until like 4 days ago, he had led the majors in OPS from like opening day on.
Yeah.
He's hitting close to 300. He's hitting the ball out. He's walking a lot. He's got decent number of RBIs, and you can buy his rookie autos still for next. Do I think Brent Rooker's gonna be this good? He's 28 years old. Do I think Brent Rooker's gonna make you thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars? No. But if you can go buy a rookie auto for $20 and at the All-Star break when he's Oakland's All-Star guy, sell it for $35, it's not a bad return.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who's really raking right now that nobody's heard of.
Bargain buys. Who's the biggest play here for you? By the end of the year, their value will grow the most. Gorman, Garcia, Arozarena, Ruiz, Lou Bob, or Rooker?
Gorman.
Okay.
The Cardinals are starting to figure it out. They weren't going to be bad all year. They're going to challenge for the Central crown by the end of the season. And if they make it to the playoffs, and he does his job the way he probably will the whole season, I think he has the most potential for growth. Long term, probably a Rosarena. I think a Rosarena is just going to, he's a lot like, to me, how I look at Bo Bichette. He's a guy that 10 years from now, people are going to wake up and go, well, he's got 300 home runs.
Consistently
and
good, yeah.
almost 2,000 RBIs and a lot of hits and
He's
a
knocking on the
career
door.
290
Yeah.
batting average. Well, holy crap.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Cool. You got anything else to add?
no, I think that's all that I had for this week. We kind of went around the horn 2 or 3 times there.
Yeah, I'm going to go ice my sports injury. Whatever I've done to my foot, my subtle frame is not helping it any. This has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.